Are there any particular use cases that you would say your technology is best suited for, and some that it might not be the best choice?
Hmm. So, as I kind of, I suppose, referenced earlier, we created this to do surveys better first and foremost. So it can replace most of the use cases of any survey. Pretty much the only thing it can't do is conjoin, but pretty much anything else you can do with the survey it can do. We find that very common use cases are in concept and ad refinement and validation, what traditionally would be a sort of a stage of qual to refine propositions and then a stage of quant to test. We actually do both of those in one with Inca because you've
Hmm.
got the robustness of getting the scores, but also the understanding of what works and what doesn't. It's also used for much more strategic research. So, I reference segmentation or kind of habits and attitudes types of research because you can still get the robustness you need, but you're actually hearing from people in their own words. You're not giving them a predefined list of choices necessarily that they may or may not agree with. So that's a very common use case. Um, and then the one thing that surprised us actually is although we created the platform first and foremost to replace surveys. It is also used a lot for quality scale. And that's because of a couple of things. One, it's the quality of the probing and the ability of the research to be able to brief the probing. But secondly, interestingly, when you start doing quality scale and you get to hundreds of people, actually having some of the quant features, such as being able to do things like least fill to prioritize certain brands or to loop stimulus and match quotas across stimulus, are actually become valuable to be able to weight the data on the back end becomes valuable as well in some use cases. So actually, you can create highly personalized conversations through doing things like using quant, skip, and routing patterns in is actually largely an open-ended quality scale type of dialogue.
Okay, well, thank you. What do you
Yeah,
see as kind of the near-term future for qual and quant coming together in surveys?
yeah. Well, I think it is starting to be different, and I think for the mantra of um, cheaper, faster, better. But for probably 10 years, actually, it was all about cheaper and faster, and that was largely around standardization, which
Yeah.
often made the experience for the participant and the insights for the researcher worse rather than better. But I think the exciting thing about things like we're doing with these more blending qualitative capabilities into quant is we can now get better as well as cheaper and faster. So for me, that is very much the future, and we're placing our bets on the survey industry changing from those traditional form-based surveys into more conversational, more intuitive interfaces. I don't think, we read a lot, very sensational kind of commentary sometimes in the market research industry around, the death of the survey. Surveys are going to be replaced. Surveys are going to be replaced by quality scale. Surveys are going to be replaced by synthetic data. I don't actually think surveys are going away. I think surveys are going to evolve. Businesses need metrics,
That is
and
the word I always think of.
yeah,
We're changing, but we're
yeah,
changing in a way that I think is getting back to the roots of why people conduct any kind of data gathering.
yeah.
It's to hear from others and inform decisions better, regardless of where that may land.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what insight's all about. It's about hearing those opinions, understanding what people think, what makes them tick, what their emotions are, and we can now do that in ways that we never could do before AI came along, and it allows us to rethink and reimagine a lot of the traditional approaches and do them better.
Well, that's it, and I think we've spent right about the right amount of time here as well, Phil. Thank
Great.
you so much for your thoughts and opinions. Thank you for the kind of honesty around some of the things that your platform does well, and somewhere it still has challenges and proof to make in the world of market research.
Yeah,
So,
it's a pleasure.
everyone, Phil Sutcliffe of Next Intelligence and Inca. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Scott. Always a pleasure to have these conversations.